Yes. Okay. So what we're doing today is we're going through all of the competition team policies so that if there's any confusion or questions before you accept the offer to register for the team, you know what to expect and what you're signing up for. There you go. So up at the very top of the orientation, it starts by saying, thank you for being interested in joining our team. As a coach, I hope by creating a competition team that our kids have an opportunity to learn how to work together, how to lose gracefully, how to increase their technique, and most importantly, exposure outside of where we live. I think that in the dance world, with it being an art, it's very important to travel and to see what else is out there. I think that a worldly view of this type of art is very important and very valuable for children. So up at the very top, it describes what we're doing for our audition today. We're going to start our audition with some improvisation. So what you can expect is to move your body to different types of songs so we can see how confidently and comfortably you move. And the reason that we used to do that was because one of the competitions would have an improv contest. And while we aren't going to that one anymore, the convention that we attend has you improving before every routine that you perform in the classes. And we want our dancers to be confident when we're doing that. So we start that right off the bat at the beginning with your audition. After you do your improv, you will learn a ballet dance and a jazz dance, and you'll perform those in front of a panel of guest judges. Not your dada. In front of a panel of guest judges, and they'll be documenting things like your alignment, your confidence, your execution of skills. I'll read this list specifically to you. It says upper body, as in your head, shoulders, gaze, and port de bras, core alignment from your ribs to your lower back and pelvis, legs and use of turnout, whether you're able to stretch fully, the placement and your control, your foot articulation and precision, flexibility, the speed, control, placement, and spotting of your turns, the height, travel, control, and precision of your jumps, your ability to memorize choreography, the musicality that you demonstrate in your improvisation, and your presentation and performance of the different routines. The reason that we try to look at all of those things is because when you join a competition team, we're not spending the competition rehearsal time learning technique. We're learning routines and perfecting those routines, which is why it's a requirement for our dancers to be enrolled in both a ballet and a jazz class when they're on the competition team, because those are the fundamentals of the styles of dance that we focus on in competition. Underneath that section of our orientation packet, it talks about the etiquette of the competition team. And when we talk about etiquette, the reason that this is a critical thing to discuss is because in our classes, our competition team members are the ambassadors of our company. They're the people that are most often on our social media. They're the people that get called on in class frequently to demonstrate skills because you're working more often, so your skills are getting stronger. But they're also the dancers that we expect as coaches to step up when something in class needs assistance. And what I mean by that is if a new dancer comes into a classroom and they're feeling pretty nervous, so they're off in a corner by themselves stretching, I would expect dancers who are on the elite performers teams to be the ones to go over and say, hi, my name's Hope. I would love to help you. Do you want to see some of the stretches that I do? Or, hi, my name's Eva. I see you're new here. Welcome. I'm so excited you want to take this class with us. So it's really important to me that we talk about etiquette of the dancers on our team because you're held to a higher standard with greater expectations. What I mean by that too is that if you are unable to uphold the proper etiquette as an elite performer, you aren't able to remain on the team. If you are found to be bullying others, whether it's at school, at home with your siblings, or in the hallways of our dance studio, all of those things matter. The way you carry yourself and the standards that you hold yourself to as an individual matter to remain on our team. Well, come here. Oh, or don't. That's fine too. Okay, bye. In addition to that, this year specifically, we're also going to be taking a look at social media. And what I mean by that is if you're posting on your social media account that you hate this dance studio, your class sucked so much, then you should not be someone in the uniform that everyone is looking up to. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay, so the way that you behave is important. I don't want to find you smoking outside the dance studio. I don't want to find you posting nudie pictures online for your boyfriend. Don't do that. No go. Okay. No, you shouldn't do it ever. That is very true. And I wish I didn't have to talk about that stuff out loud, but if we have to put it in the contract and we have to talk about it, it's because it's happened. So let's not. Sound like a plan? Cool. Awesome. Underneath that, it talks about being all inclusive and a positive resource. So this is the part that gets a little stickier. And that we learned most specifically last year, that etiquette extends from our dancers to their parents. So if we have parents that are at competition events talking about how much they hate our dance studio, we're not going to keep your kids on our team because that environment is not good for the kids that are on the team. We want them to feel safe and comfortable around all the adults that are at our events with us. And so it's very important that our parents realize too that your etiquette matters, especially at these events off-site. We want our kids to feel that the parents that are there are a safe resource. And if you don't feel comfortable with your kids dancing here, then you probably shouldn't be paying us lots of money and dancing here. So if we find that to be happening, then we are going to be terminating kids from the team. Underneath that, it talks about the financials of our competition team. What we are doing orientation for today is the team routine. And in order to do specialty routines, solos, duos, and trios, you must be on the team first because that is where the core of the work is done. So the competition team is a $1,200 fee. It includes your dancer's costume, but it does not include their warm-up because if your warm-up is still good from last year, then you can use that again. What I mean by good is if it looks excessively faded or is pilling very badly, then we will get you a new one. And you don't have to buy the top and bottom every time. We can just do separates depending on what you need. If the returning team members, the kids that were on the team last year and are returning, want to vote to get new warm-ups, then we have it written in our policies that as a team, everyone will be responsible for those. However, this year I am making an executive decision because I have a bunch of them to get rid of in the closet that we can't change warm-ups yet. So not yet. When we have less in the closet that we have to get rid of, then we can vote to get a new competition team warm-ups. Let's see. What else is on here? Solo duo trio auditions are tomorrow. There is a separate parent meeting for that because we are doing an invitational for a fourth competition for solo duo trio only. Most of our competitions are held in Detroit or very close to Detroit, and that one is in Chicago. So we wanted that to be part of a separate meeting in case that's something you don't want to be a part of, which is perfectly okay. The next section talks about dancers possibly being responsible for private lessons as needed. And what I mean by that is if your dancer is having a hard time keeping up in the competition routine, possibly because of excused absences, possibly because the material is a little harder than what we did engaged at the audition, then we may require private lessons for that dancer. That is not the same as inviting team members to come in on open studio time. Open studio time doesn't cost anything for the dancers. It means we don't have classes going on and Tanya or I are here working. And so dancers are welcome to come in and use the studio to practice. And you're able to do that whenever we have open studio time. We'll have that on the calendar and we'll send it out to our team every time something like that comes available. However, if it's clear that what one-on-one and extra time we've given the teammates isn't enough and someone is struggling, we don't want any team members to walk into a competition feeling underprepared. Everyone should at least feel that they confidently know how to execute the routine. If there are certain skills that you're working very hard at that aren't coming to perfection yet, that doesn't necessarily require a private lesson. But if a dancer is clearly overwhelmed and struggling to keep up, then we would do something additional. Shoes, rehearsal wear, hair, and makeup needs are all responsibility of the dancer. We do have a specific shoe that our competition team wore last year, which I don't think is in this paperwork. So last year we used the Block Pulse shoe, and I didn't put that in here yet because I wanted to ask my veteran team members, what did you think of that shoe? What? Tell me the truth, Maddie. I see your face.
I love those shoes.
Okay, I thought that face was not love. Okay.
I think it was the first person.
You were the one that recommended them. Yeah. Okay. Hope, how did you feel about Okay, that makes sense. Lydia? Okay. You said Arch. How do you feel? Okay. So 4-1. Sorry, Hope. How do you feel, Lena? You like them? Okay. So when we do the audition today, at the end of the day, our judges will deliberate with our returning dancers, new dancers, and callback dancers from the younger group, but we won't post the final results until Sunday on the door. And usually we would do it on Fridays, but I have 3 dancers that gave us advance notice that they had other commitments today. So we're doing a makeup audition for them on Saturday morning. When we do that, then we'll post the audition results on Sunday. Once the audition results are on the door, I don't send the email that day because as a kid, my coach always posted them only on the door and never emailed. And it was this like heart thumping intensity to get to the studio at 7 a.m. and look at the door. And I was the one in my mom's bedroom, even at 16, like, get out of bed, we have to go. And so I loved that feeling. So I do the same thing. So I'll post it on the door on Sunday. If you bring your dancer on Sunday, I ask that you take their picture because we do this little fun dedication online where you're excited in front of the door. And if your child is not going to make the team, I will email you ahead of time so that you know what to expect and you don't have your camera ready for pictures that you may or may not want. So, but I don't tell your kids that, obviously. Then on Monday, I'll send an email that has a link where you can purchase the Block Pulse shoes, information for the warm-up sizing, and additional commitments and things that the kids have that are also in this packet. So underneath there, it talks about attendance, or sorry, shoes, rehearsal wear. Rehearsal wear is next. For rehearsal wear, all rehearsals this year are on Saturdays. We did not set any during the week, which is convenient for us because Saturday is mostly competition stuff. When we're away at a competition, we don't need a lot of substitute teachers. So we're kind of trying that a little bit differently this year. On the competition schedule, the team meets for 1 hour. There will be a second hour that the team stays to practice while I work with the second team. And then after that is all the solos, duos, and trios. Your dancers, even if they don't have a solo, duo, trio routine, are welcome to stay for that whole time and practice, bond, watch the solo, duo, trio dances. We have found over the last few years that by November, I would say, all the kids come on Saturday anyway, whether they have routines or not, additional routines. And it's just fun. Everybody packs a lunch, we take turns dancing, and it's a really good time. So now all the routines are on Saturday, and your dancer is welcome to be present for the entire time. With that said, when you come to rehearse for competition, you must wear non-holey tights. They must be tan. It doesn't matter what shade of tan, but non-holey tan tights, black leotards, and black shorts, because we do a lot of marketing with our competition team. And also, I believe that the discipline is critical because I want you prepared when you travel to a competition with your spare tights in your bag if you need them. So, hair and makeup needs are your responsibility this year. We are going to try to choose a hairstyle that you are able to do on your own. I know, Maddie, you've been begging me to do that for years. You know how hard that is for me because I want to be so trendy. I'm gonna try. Promise I'm gonna try. Yesterday, a dance dad asked me, he did share that he had been practicing braiding nonstop for the last year, knowing that his daughter wanted to be a competitive dancer. And he asked when his deadline was to perfect his braids. And our competition team has 15 weeks of rehearsals before we travel to our first competition. And towards the end, like closer to December, and possibly again in January, we'll book stage space to rehearse. And when we do that, we'll have a hair and makeup class at that time where we'll go over those requirements. That also allows us to see if the person who's going to be taking you to competition isn't able to do your hair and makeup so that we can make accommodations accordingly. I'm not quite ready just to say fend for yourself, and if it doesn't look good enough, you're not going on stage. I'm not there yet. So we'll check that when we have our stage rehearsal. You do not have to wear makeup to competition rehearsals on Saturdays. You do have to wear your hair in a bun though. For attendance, the routines that we do for the first 8 to 10 weeks, it says on here, that's where we start doing them. And then after that, we start cleaning. So if you are here all day on Saturday and we are teaching choreography, if you're in this room for those sections, you're observing quietly or practicing off to the side. When we get into the cleaning stages, then you can give additional positive support and cheering and things like that. Let's see. You'll have 3 excused absences during the competition season. Those excused absences count for rehearsals only. When we get to the phase of critiquing, and what I mean by that is we travel to a competition, and while at that competition, there's a panel of judges that's observing in the audience. Those judges each have a microphone and a computer with a camera on the top, and they're speaking into that microphone as you're dancing. Sometimes you can hear them, sometimes you can't. And they're saying things like, wow, that girl with the blonde hair has a beautiful straight leg as she's turning. I saw that. Beautiful straight leg as she's turning. It's outstanding. Oh, your girl with the glasses, she really needs to work on not flexing her foot when she's doing that leap. So when they say those types of things, then we come back as a group and we listen to them the week after to see what we can work on and improve, and then try to implement it before we go to the next competition. When I make a competition schedule, it's compete, critiques every other weekend without a break except for spring break. So those critique rehearsals are being completely mandatory, 100%, because if you're not here learning what the critiques said or zoomed in if you're ill, then you don't know what to work on before we go the following weekend. And if we make any changes to accommodate the critiques, I don't want you overwhelmed. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Oh, they're serious faces. You guys already know that. It is. It makes me so happy. Okay, so let's see. Excused absences for those first 15 weeks before we start attending the competitions are academic obligation, illness and quarantine, and family emergency. What is not written in this policy yet, that I'm going to mention now, is if you are choosing to do multiple sports. In the past, we ran into a lot of conflicts. If you are choosing to do multiple sports, and we know, I'm going to say by Sunday, because you may not have your other sports schedule or plans today. If we know by Sunday, then we can make obligations to do a multi-sport contract. Not obligation, we can make accommodations for a multi-sport contract. So I have 2 athletes that aren't here today because they're at another sports practice that was required. And so what we're doing for those athletes is we're starting this multi-sport contract that'll have all of the dates on it that they know now they're going to miss that would typically be mandatory and unexcused. Then they know as athletes that they have exactly 7 days from that missed practice to know what they need to before walking in for the next rehearsal. They also know if they miss any of their classes for those obligations, how to go about makeups for them and being fully prepared. So if you have another sport in mind and you're able to disclose what the practices and schedule are by Sunday, then we can make those accommodations now. After we post the results on Sunday and everything is finalized, if I don't know your second sport and what the conflicts will be with it, I cannot make accommodations. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. So, new sentence in that paragraph for all my veteran parents. I'm going to read this sentence word for word quite loudly. A family vacation is not an excused absence. Please plan accordingly. And I know that that sounds really harsh. I had a student miss 2 of my critique rehearsals last year, once we were in full swing of competition season. And when that dancer came back, she was very overwhelmed that she did not know what possible changes had been made and wasn't able to go over those critiques. That stress was too much for that young child. And I'm not going to make separate rules for my mini junior team to my teen team. So I'm just going to blanket state that family vacations are not excused. So please plan them around when the competitions are occurring. And we're going to keep the competition rehearsals specifically to the weekend. If the competition rehearsal is added after this Sunday to our Google Calendar, it is not required. It is something that we hope you will be at, but the calendar is out now with our full season. So if we add something to it, then that one is not mandatory or required, because what you're here looking at now and agreeing to now before you register your child and see the results on Sunday is what we're expecting to be mandatory. So hopefully that allows for accommodations. Yes.
You
Yes.
said if the calendar is already online,
Yes.
so if you add something to it, will it be like a different color or? So that I
That
know
is
that.
I will do that. Yes, we will do that. I'm really glad you said that. It's the first time we're trying it this way.
Okay.
That young dancer was so distressed, and I
sat on it for months with how to adjust that and how to correct that. And so I'm thinking if I make it accountable with what's on there now, it will help. Yeah. So yes, that's really good. It's okay. It's a good song. Okay. So, what else? What else? Any other scheduling conflicts, if you gave them to me before today and I already have them written down, then we can make sure that they are accommodated for. So if you, like, I know some parents have already reached out to me with their family vacations, and you are welcome to reach out with more before this Sunday, then I can make accommodations. After this Sunday, if it's against the calendar, there's nothing I can do because I have to have that blanket rule and be fair for everyone. But if you know what they're going to be now or roughly when they're going to be, then I can make those accommodations, with the exception of actual competition weekends and the critique weekends in between the competitions. Those ones are too difficult. If you are comfortable with our Google Calendar on our website, which is not color coded, you can use that to skim through at any time. If you download the Google Calendar app to your phone, I can add you to it through a Gmail account and it'll be color coded. And I'll show you an example of that. But I will put, in case you use the website one, I'll put not mandatory also on the actual event. But here's an example. So this one is color coded. And in this particular one, this is my personal stuff, my work stuff, and our studio stuff. But as we get deeper into the season, things like up at the top in peach, it says it's color week. So that tells our dancers when they can wear different color leotards. There's yellow stuff that are fun events that the kids can be doing. There's red stuff for when we're going to be closed. And then throughout the season, I think dark blue is the color that we picked for the competition team. So as we get light blue is the community performance team. So they have an event on that day. So if you enjoy, oh, there's a bunch of them. It's magical. So if you want the app on your phone, I can add a Gmail account to it, and there's no limit to the number of Gmail accounts we can add, and then that will auto-populate color-coded in the app for you. Teens, same thing applies for you. So teens and juniors, if you want it on your phone and you have a Gmail account, or your parents give you permission to make a Gmail account and they make that with you, then I can add it to you and help you make sure that it's on your phone. So just let me know if you want that done after Sunday when your kids have actually made the team. Then, timeliness. And I know that I am the worst for being on time. The kids that work for me know that. But for competitions, I'm not late. One time with the baby, I was late. One time.
Okay.
Just one. One time. Just one.
Anything important?
Yes. So, with that being said, tardiness for competition rehearsal counts as an unexcused absence unless the reason you're tardy is under our excuse list: academic obligations, illness, quarantine. I think there's a family emergencies. So we want to make sure that at the rehearsal part of the season, you're expressing timeliness so that we're not standing on the side of the stage freaking out because we can't find a team member who's getting coffee. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Next page. Dancers do not have the options to choose which competition to attend. That sentence, because this is the team orientation, is specifically for the team routine. If you choose to do solo, duo, trio, there is an optional competition for that one that will be in Chicago. But for the team, the 3 competitions that we are attending are CAR, Dance First Express, and 24/7. Our dancers do not have the option to perform our routines privately at an event that I do not register them for. If you do, that's stealing choreography. And I guess I don't copyright it. But in the art world, it's very icky. So don't do that. Additionally, you can't just pick that you're not going to go to one because you don't feel like it. You're part of a team and the whole team is doing the routine together. Not showing up would be a disservice to your team and will prohibit you from joining competition team in the future, as well as result in immediate removal. As I mentioned before, if we know your scheduling conflicts ahead of time, then we may be able to help and work around them, but I need to know them by Sunday. It is expected that you be dressed and ready 2 hours before your call time to the competition stage. The hardest thing for my parents when it comes to dance competitions is the fact that the actual event doesn't make the schedule until a week prior. It is so frustrating, and I am so sorry because there's nothing I can do about it. So what happens is competitions have open registration, and then a week before the event starts, they email the owners, sometimes if it's fly, 3 days before, and tell you, here's when everybody has to be there. And it's very stressful. So when I get that information, I take a look at our stage rehearsal that we have here in Sault Ste. Marie and who needs hair and makeup help. And then I make a schedule with what time every dancer arrives to be ready to go on stage. In a perfect world, if we aren't performing first at 8 a.m. of the day, that would mean that all of our team, the whole team, is dressed and ready 2 hours before we go on stage. The reason that we do something so early is because competition schedules are down to the minute when they make them. Each dance routine has a specific time that it's performed, such as 4:07, 6:02. And every time a dancer doesn't go on stage, or a dancer runs off stage early, or judges decide to skip their dinner break, then the competition runs ahead and ahead and ahead. If we are prepared and the competition is running behind schedule because it took longer to get a prop on or off stage, we're still ready. If we're not ready and they're 2 hours ahead of schedule, then we end up braiding a dancer's hair in a computer chair, running down the hallway behind it, trying to get them on stage as fast as possible. And it's really fun and it makes a super cool TikTok, but we don't want to do that again. So we will be dressed and ready 2 hours ahead of time unless we are the first dance of the day. In the cases where we are the first dance of the day, we have done hair in the lobby of hotels and then gone to the event together or in the lobby of the event center. So that may happen, but you'll have a schedule with exactly where to bring your kids to get ready before they go on stage. Underneath there, it talks about some new things that we're doing. This year, I know, I feel guilty because the year that we changed the rule was because my hair was purple. So I took this rule off, and then I'm part of so many dance teacher forums, and I've been listening to so many judges, and some of the judges are starting to get really harsh on uniformity of your team in retaliation to judges that are like, live and let live. So part of your scoring system is, she's having so much fun right now. Having fun. Part of your scoring system is uniformity of your team. So you are scored on whether or not their hair all looks the same, their nail color is the same, their costumes are the same shoes. And usually it's like 10 points out of the 300, but sometimes those 10 points can make or break it on an overall score. So in the event that we get a judge that is harsh on uniformity, I want to be prepared for that. So we are going with natural hair colors, nude or no nail polish, and then the same shoe for everybody. All of our piercings have to be out when we're performing, and if you get a tattoo between now and competition, then you do need to pancake it so it is hidden. Sound good? Perfect. I will wear unicorn snot in my hair for all of you so that I can be wild and crazy and fun. And then you can find me very easily. But I'm not going to mohawk it. Then Hope got a tattoo. What? Yeah, Hope, cancel your tattoo appointment, okay? Or I'll teach you how to pancake it. I love your facial expressions. Also an option, we are a conservative company when it comes to our costumes. So. We might have to cancel it. If you were getting it on your butt cheek, you can still have it. Okay. The first event that we go to as a team is the convention experience. The convention experience is an event that is different from all other dance competitions because in addition to competing, our dancers also perform in classes. So they'll perform on stage in front of a panel of judges, and then for the rest of the weekend, take classes from world-renowned instructors, which is super cool. It's great exposure from all different styles of dance and all different types of teachers. And in those classes, our dancers are eligible to win scholarships. When we talk about scholarships. I want to be completely honest with my dance parents. They're usually scholarships to attend a much more expensive event somewhere else. So I don't push scholarships on my kids because that $150 scholarship on the wall right there is to attend an event in California that will cost you $3,000 to go to. So it's at your discretion if you want to act on those scholarships and attend those subsequent events. We don't attend them as a studio, but you can attend them privately if your child wins a scholarship to those. There are other events and invitationals that, if possible, we will fundraise as a company to go to. So last year we had 5 kids receive invitations to attend an experience. It's that middle plaque on the bottom there in New York. And because of when we attended the event that we were invited, their invitation was actually for 2024. So that gave us a full year to be able to help them fundraise. So during this school year, they'll be having fundraising meetings and doing events to build up to that particular event. It is not common that you have a whole year to be able to use that invitation or scholarship. So just to prepare you, I don't encourage pushing your kids to try to get the scholarships because it will cost you more money. If you want to, go for it, but I don't push them in that way. And then other events, like up there, we have 2 green scholarships that our kids won. So if you have a returning dancer with a green scholarship, then you have a discount off of your competition team fee with whatever the total cost is for the workshop classes at the convention. So that will come off when you get your bill. To elaborate on what those are, if you weren't there, if you're not familiar with them, the blue scholarships were for excellence in technique in their classes. So the teachers are looking at 200 to 300 kids in every classroom, and they felt that they picked 5 kids in the classroom that they feel stood out with fantastic technique. So we have 5 total, which is just a great coincidence. And then up at the very top, the green ones, there are 7 instructors at the event for the weekend, and those 7 instructors choose from 1,500 kids, just 7 students to receive a full ride scholarship. And we got 2 of those 7 full scholarships. Oh. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Cool. Underneath that, we talk about what happens at the competition for the dancers. So you perform on stage as a group, and then my requirement for my teams, and I know that this is difficult because some people want to spend their weekend trip at a competition venue seeing the city, but as a coach, I require all of my dancers to be present to watch all of the team's routines, all the solos, all the duos, all the trios. Because if a dancer does not have a parent with them when they travel to an event, maybe they go with another family. Excuse me, sorry. Don't try to eat M&Ms and talk at the same time. Hopefully you give these to your mom for the baby. If you are at a competition for the weekend and you have paid for your dancer to be on our team, they need to be supporting the entire team. I would not want a dancer who doesn't have family members driving them there to have no one in the audience watching them. I also am not going to let any of our dancers leave the competitions early for the weekend because I don't want any kids being the last event of the weekend at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday with no one in the audience to cheer for them. That breaks my heart. So we're not doing that. So all dancers must be present for all competition routines as they're on stage. Additionally, then they must be present for all award ceremonies because we want to support the entire team. If your family needs to make different travel arrangements or accommodations and you want contact information for another parent, we will gladly give you that information and help you reach out to that parent with their permission. However, if you're carpooling with another family, then you work out the details. When it comes to lodging costs and fuel costs and food plans, you make those arrangements with parents. I don't want to be that intermediary, but I will help you get in contact with other parents to do that. What else is on here? Award ceremonies. Most of the competition events have a set of dates out already that are specific, as in just Friday, Saturday, or just Saturday, Sunday. We do have those dates listed in this packet, and Chris, I'll email you that packet. However, I will say that the first few years that we went to 24/7, they did not stick to just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There was one year that we had a kid perform on Wednesday morning. So for the most part, you can look at those dates and expect your child to perform on any of those 3 days. 24/7 sometimes schedules out sooner if they overbook. With that being said, and where we live, we have found that it helps to go down a day early or to plan to come a day late back. You don't have to do that as a family. Of course, you can make that decision. But the reason I mention it is because I don't want it to be a shock if your dancer has to miss school on a Friday or Monday. If your dancer needs an excuse form for the school for their absences, we fill those out every season and give them to whatever kids ask for them. If you know ahead of time what days you're going to be traveling based on the competition schedule, I can make that note accommodate your travel schedule.
No, still guys. Two times said nope.
That's
Dan
not-
said not a balance. Yes, not a balance.
I'm sorry.
No, it's been way more. Two weeks.
Pickford does, but the superintendent's daughter was traveling with us. So that might be why.
But I didn't have to. Yeah.
The next section talks about categories and levels. So when we travel to a competition, we register the routine into a specific category based on age and skill level of the dancer. Of course, average age and average skill level for group routines. And so I have an example in this packet of how it was organized at. What? Where did Brianna go? Did you want to explain anything else about that?
And then she spit. I don't know if she could choke herself with a cap, and then she spit like shoving in her mouth.
Oh, we'll have to clean that up before you dance on this floor. Hope, can you deliver her to Brianna? Can you deliver her to Brianna?
That's kind of
Oh,
like
wait.
She can have the cap. I don't care. Just tell Brianna not to let her choke on it.
No, but it's been like all the way.
She'll scream. Okay, so the next section talks about categories and levels, and it gives some examples of how we organize our routines. So each competition has rules for their categories, like if it has 3 acro skills, it must be in the acro category, or a lyrical dance can only have 1 back roll in it, whatever those rules may be. So we look at that when we decide what category to put them in. Underneath that, we have a list of different size categories just to help you learn a little bit of the lingo. Solo is just 1 kid, duo, trio are 2 or 3 kids. Small group is typically 4 to 9 kids, but it may vary based on the competition. Each one has slightly different rules. A line is 10 to 15 dancers, typically an extended line 16 to 24, and a production is 25 plus. When you attend a competition, each of those different size categories have different rules on how long the dance can be. So if you're watching and you're wondering why at our studio you pay this amount of dollars and your kid's dance is 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, but when you watch this other routine, it was 5 minutes and 40 seconds. What we do is out of all the competitions we're going to attend, whatever one has the shortest time limit is how we create our dance. Because I don't want to create full modifications or slightly different routines for each competition when they're only 2 weeks apart. So I take the shortest time limit and create the most complex dance that we can that fits our kids' abilities in that time limit. But that may look different to other routines when we're at an event. On the next page, it talks about the age levels. This is another spot where the lingo is on here, but you may find that the lingo is slightly different depending on the competition. Usually this information is in the program if you're interested. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer those questions when we go. A sidekick is typically a dancer ages 5 to 7. A mini is typically ages 8 to 10. Junior ages 11 and 12. Teen ages 13 to 15. Senior ages 16 to 19. And we do have dancers that compete, not necessarily us, but that are ages 20 to 26, and those are considered open age level. So when we register by style, by size category, by age level, and by training level. When I register our students, I judge them very harshly. So if the level says that to be an advanced routine, the dancers have to be able to do a triple, and the next level is an elite routine and they have to be able to do a quadruple. Some coaches will purposely put their kids in the lower category so that they score higher. I will never do that. I would rather have our kids be judged as harsh as possible so they can learn as much as possible. I do not believe in going to a competition just to win. I believe in going to receive critiques from other teachers to help us learn and grow as dancers, as well as learning sportsmanship and sometimes losing gracefully. So when we decide training level, some competitions say the number of hours that your kid trains per week. And I feel like that's a little skewed based on where they dance and what those types of hours are. Because if I were to look at how often Madeline is here, she helps teach in 4 hours a week. She does one class by herself, 2 hours a week. She takes 6 hours of classes a week, and then she's here for a lunch break for an hour. It doesn't make sense to say the number of hours that she's in here equates to the number of skills that she can do. So when you're looking at the rules and reading through them in your program or on the competition website, if you choose to, know that I select their training level based on the skills that they can do, not the number of hours that they're present in our studio. Underneath that section of our orientation, it talks about awards, scholarships, and adjudication. So we put them into these 4 categories, and that determines who they compete against at the event. That allows us to make sure that they're competing against similarly skilled dancers, trusting that the other coaches put their kids in the appropriate categories. Then when it comes to scoring at a competition, some of that gets very confusing because the award ceremony sounds like an auction. The person standing up there rattles off all kinds of funky terms and speaks very quickly. So we do a score sheet afterwards that explains what our kids have accomplished. I've done emails where I break it down very specifically. I've done posts online that just explain it briefly. So however you would best like that information, you can let me know and I can get that to you. But specifically for the competitions we attend, they receive an individual adjudication first out of a 300-point scale because there are 3 judges. This is what is most common. Each judge can award the dance up to 100 points, and they have a rubric for what those points fall into for categories. And then when you total up all those points, their final score is their individual adjudication for that dance. So if it's a solo, in that case, it's that dancer's adjudication, but typically it's for the routine as a whole. There's an example of a point scale in your orientation with example adjudication levels, platinum being up to 300 points, high gold being up to 290, gold being up to 275. Some of the competitions have really creative names. Like when we went to Fly, they called them International Traveler and Million Miler and Frequent Flyer. So there's also an example in here of some funky terms that we attended at one just to show you the difference. And that's why oftentimes that part of the competition sounds very confusing. After each dance receives their individual adjudications, then the points are compared on a 1-to-1 level for overalls, and that's when you can win first, second, or third. Historically, in the dance world, to attend nationals, you had to receive a first, second, or third, like most sports. After 2020, things changed and nationals became just a competition more people could travel to, but you don't have to score in a high overall category to attend nationals. Therefore, as a company, we do not attend nationals because it's the same thing as the regional competition, but in a more fun city. So I would rather not spend the travel money and just go to the 3 typical competitions. Most of them are already sold out for next summer because it's a destination vacation for parents and their kids just do their routine on stage again. I don't want to do that. I would rather take a family vacation somewhere if I'm going to do that. So underneath there is an example score sheet that I created. So it just explains what our routines were, what our dancers scored, and how their points shook out with what categories they were in. On the next page, it talks about judges awards. So you can win your individual adjudication. We will win your individual adjudication, whatever that may be. And then your overall is an option you may win. And then another possible winning would be a judges award. And those are specialty awards. We have 2 on the sides of our big winning wall right there. And a couple over on this one as well. Actually, we have 4.
I got 4.
2 from fly and 2 from car. And so the judges have the opportunity, apart from the overalls, just to pick out things that stood out to them that they felt were exceptional, and they can make specialty awards for those. So in your orientation, an example of some of the ones that we won were the Sassy Stewardess, the Co-Pilot, and the Smooth Flight Award. Obviously, that's from the theme competition. Those ones just say Judge's Choice on the award, but I think one was the Fierce Attack Award because our kids' dancing was very sharp, and I can't remember what the other one was called. Do you? No. Any? Yeah, something fun that they picked just to stand out with regards to our kids.
I think they were both the group members.
They were both group members, but I can't remember what you guys got for the team
it-
one.
I think it's like. It's like Harvard. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like it's not. So.
Mhm.
And then Minnie's got like. Whatever.
Yeah, I think so too. So the next section talks about photography and videography. When you attend a dance competition, they require automatically for the studio to pay a media fee no matter what. When we're checking out, it's something that's required for us. And that gives the studio owners access to the media that they take at the competition. When you attend the competition at the merch table and during the awards, they will push for you to also go buy the media package. Don't. So we put all of the media into a Google Drive and send it to everybody. You're already paying the media fee as part of your team fee. So we include that automatically for all of our kids. And the media fee is not in addition to the team number if they do a solo, duo, trio. The way that it's set up in ours is it's broken down separately for all of that. So everyone gets the media automatically. Don't pay for those extra packages when you attend a competition. With that in mind, some of the competitions will disqualify our team if they recognize that a dance parent of ours is videotaping. So please don't just change your shirt and videotape anyway, because they tend to know who you hang out with. We all sit together at lunch. So, and we have had judges come to us and say, I see one of your dance dads is filming in the audience. If you don't stop that, we will disqualify this routine, which is a very scary thing to have happen, especially when our kids work so hard. So if you're getting the media for free anyway, not for free, but anyway, as part of our company package, don't take the time to do cell phone videos in the auditorium. Take as many pictures as you want in the hallway. Every competition has a photo booth set up as well, like a backdrop. When our kids finish dancing, I make them get there first and I take as many pictures as possible, and then they go on their way, and I will share all of those with you so you don't have to wait in line with all the other parents trying to take lovely pictures of their kids. If you want family photos, I'm not going to take those for you because I have my own kid to chase. But your children and the whole team, I will photograph immediately after the routines so that you have everything with their awards right away. That being said, also, when they step off the stage, don't stop them because they are on a mission to get to that photo booth because they know that I told them they had to run or mall walk very fast. Underneath that, it talks about dressing rooms. We don't let our parents go into the dressing rooms with us. It gets so crowded and it's already very stressful. So only Tanya and I will be in the dressing room with the dancers. Underneath that, it talks about transportation and lodging. That's all on you. And I know that last year, I didn't get the hotel information out as quickly as parents wanted. So we have the locations and websites available now for the competitions. When we do our email to dancers that have made the team on Monday, then we will include all of that information at that time as well. Yeah, tell me all about it. Talked about that. They just released it. It's back at the Red Sun. Yeah, it just came out today.
They just
Yeah.
updated the website.
They didn't email me, but they emailed you.
All the
I saw that, but I just didn't get the email update today that said it was ready.
I just got the email right.
I saw that the arrival time was like 11:45. I didn't get it. I got your forwarded email, but not the one from the company
So they're now at the same location?
that they were before. Yeah, 2 years ago. The Rensen, you can stay in the Rensen.
Yeah, like a parking garage.
To the back.
Yes, the internet is extra and the hotel rooms are very expensive.
Yeah. Of it, the elevators get very crowded.
We did get very excited. You are right. And I don't think it has a pool, if I remember right.
Last time we were there, closed.
Because of COVID. Yeah. Yeah. Jasmine, will you catch my kid?
No.
The one running away with chocolate coming out of her mouth. The last page of the orientation mentions hair, makeup, and costuming. We take the costumes to each competition. I will never have a kid forget a costume at home ever again. I'll bring them. You're responsible for your own shoes, powder, makeup. Hopefully, that very small amount of things that they have to bring allows us to forget nothing. She's like, that's so funny. I remember that time. Also, you are responsible for your child's meals. I cannot feed all of your children. And I will not send Daryl to Walmart at 4 o'clock in the morning to buy food for other people's kids again, because he might murder me. So we cannot do that. The very last section mentions the dancer dress code and also the mandatory dates. New this year, August 23rd and 24th, we're having a preseason social and an elite performer media day. If you've seen in town with some of our high school sports teams, the big collages of all the kids looking super tough, we're having that done. So we're going to do that on media day. And then the preseason social is where our kids will learn how we pose for all of our pictures and do some fun team bonding things. They can vote on what costumes they want and vote on what songs they want. And then I may or may not pick anything that they suggest. Clearly, she doesn't think I'm going to pick the costume that she wanted. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
Last year. The box, are we doing that last year, or are we gonna be okay to go as long as we're back in time to watch?
I'd say. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that part.
Everyone was exhausted, including.
I was really exhausted. Yes.
People were like delivering truck lemonades and coffees to us.
I'm gonna say it probably depends on the competition schedule. If there's a big gap in there, then I'll write on that schedule. Feel free to go and come back. And then if your kids choose to stay, which I will probably always stay in case they're ahead of schedule. So I will always stay if you're Naomi, I'm talking. Oh, good night. If your kids choose to stay, we will bring the bingo boards again and change them up. So there will be activities that they can do if they stay the whole time, but I will put on the actual schedule where there are large gaps that your family can go and come back, as long as you're not late. Yes, that's a really good point. And I was also very tired. Yes, but she was young still.
Yeah, it was gross.
She's still fit in.
This year.
Yeah,
You're gonna need to get a switch.
She covered in strawberries.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
She's got her face in the stretchy.
Oh, she loves doing that. She does it with her playpen. Yeah. Okay, other questions? Other questions?
Any questions?
They're just for the baby. Oh, I did order a backpack leash.
My mom has a.
Yeah, Daryl said he wants her to be able to touch all the things that she can touch and not have to chase her, just to know that she's here.
Yeah, she's big with her.
Yeah. Yeah, she has a narwhal one coming from Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if we, I can picture Little Money. Yes.
Very friendly.
If you don't have any other questions, then I will email this again on Monday with, thank you.
They melted in my hands.
Do you want some of these melty M&Ms from home? So on Monday, I will email the results that are posted on the door, as well as the orientation policies. We're not going to sign them today because you don't know if your child's made the team yet. But also when you go to register in the portal, it'll prompt you specifically when you select the competition team to agree to these particular policies. Pardon? There you go. Okay, perfect. Then, the answer is you have half an hour until the audition begins. So for that half an hour, if you want to practice the items on this list, it'll be ready for you right here. Perfect. Okay.
You have to do Tricia something else, right?
My
Two different
favorite gun
colors. Run that back.
No, that's for you.
I think so.
Good deal. Chris, do you have any questions for me before I sign off on here?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Perfect. I'll send everything in an email also. And then if you have questions, once you get that and you flip through it, feel free to send me any stuff online.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you too. I can't wait to see Maddie. All
Have a
right,
good
bye.
night.